Hello, my name is Mildred. I'm the host and life coach of Let's Be Real About It. It's a talk show, and this show is where we can be true and we can be real about life issues. We can speak about the traumatic and devastating things that have occurred in our lives or that may be occurring right now at this present time. We will talk with people from all races, all cultures, all religions, all nationalities, because hurt, pain, devastation, and traumatic experience has the ability to affect us all. It doesn't care. It crosses boundaries. It has no respect to person. So nobody is exempt from it. So it's time that we face the truth. It's time that we be real about the truth. It's time that we face life and stop passing the buck, as it say, or the buck, as it say. It's time to stop pointing the finger. It's time to be real. It's time to be real about what's happening in your life. It's time to be real about the issues in your life, because I know you, like me, want to be delivered and want to be set free and healed. And this is your opportunity. So let's be real about life. Let's be real about what's happening in your life. Let's be real about the life situations. God bless. Hello, and I want to welcome you tonight to a special edition of Let's Be Real About It. Tonight, we're going to be at the round table. Season 1 was dynamic. The stories touched our heart. Each guest that appeared on the show made their lives an open book as they talked about their life experience and being transparent. So we here at Let's Be Real About It is eternal grateful to every guest that came on the show. But before I introduce my special guest tonight, I do want to thank the sponsors who have made this show a success by what they give and donate to the show. I want to thank Zion City of Deliverance. I want to thank our anonymous guest sponsor that gives to the show. And I also want to thank J&K Style Grill.
What up, y'all? It's your boy back on stage. We here at J&K Style and Grill with my main man.
J&K Style Grill, home of the original waffle burger, stuffed wings, and Philly steak hair grill.
The food was amazing, man. I'm talking about collard green stuffed chicken, mac and cheese stuffed chicken, waffle burger with the special sauce. Come on, man. What are you doing if you ain't eating here? You're wasting your life.
Pull up.
J&K Style Grill, you can copy the style,
but never the spec.
We got it.
We got it.
Thank you, sponsors, for supporting the show. Tonight, we're going to recap a few of the stories from our 8 guests. So I want to just go ahead and just bring our special guest in for tonight. And before I introduce them to you, I just want to thank the 8 guests that have come on the show. I'm going to say that again. I just want to thank them because they appeared on the show. They inspired us. They inspired us to believe, and they inspired us to be victorious. And no matter what we're going through, I just want to thank Carlise Oglesby, Dr. Serena Harris, Gloria Whittenberg, David Oglesby, Joanne Harlem, Bernard Hurd, Tamika Jones, and Juanita Lightfoot. And we do honor you tonight here on the round table on Let's Be Real About It. And so I want to go ahead and just introduce my guests tonight. These people that you never see, but they are important to the show. I want to introduce to you DJ Ronnie Ron, who is the producer of Let's Be Real About It. He's the one behind the scene, you know, all the stuff that you see flashing up and book and all this stuff. He's the one doing that behind the scenes. And you never see him unless you're a guest on the show. And I want to introduce Shanita, all the writers that you see, you know, that's connected to the flyers. She's the one that do that. As a matter of fact, Nita, somebody said about the flyer, oh, my story was just so good. So she's the one that does that behind the scenes that you don't even get to see her. And Sean, you know, she's always giving us her opinion about how she think things should be, so I just want you to introduce her to you. And this is Sean. You never see her, but you see some of the things that she may say. So these are my guests for tonight. I have Shanita, I have DJ Ronnie Ron, and I have Sean. So I want to welcome y'all to the table tonight. So we're going to recap, as I said, we're going to recap some of the stories. We may not even get to two. And I do want to say this too. If we don't get to your story, you've been a guest on the show, and we don't get to your story, please do not be offended because we didn't talk about your stories, because the time is so limited. So we won't get to talk about everybody's story tonight. So also remember this too, that this is a no holds barred zone. So some of the topics that we may talk about tonight may be offensive to some, but that is not the intent of the show. So we're going to go ahead, and we're just going to go ahead and hop in. So we're going to start with Carlise Oglesby story. She and Dr. Serena was the first two that came on the show. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with their story. So with Carlise, the topic of her story was abortion. So she stated on the show that after finding out that she was pregnant and telling her boyfriend at that time, she came home from work one day. Her boyfriend asked her when was her next day off, and he stated that I found an abortion clinic in Charlotte, North Carolina. He told her the date and the time, and he also told her to make arrangements to get off her job, and she had no choice in the matter. So she had the abortion November the 19th, 2004, and every year on November the 19th, she cried until November the 19th, 2020, when she said, no more. She said, no, I'm not going to cry anymore over this. So, Shanita, what are some of the pointers that you got out of this story?
Well, first of all, I thought it was really interesting because she mentioned that, it wasn't something that she necessarily wanted to do. She just didn't want to lose the man. Wow. And that was like, very interesting. Like, you don't want to lose the man. What do you do when you don't want to lose the man? And I thought, it was very bold of her to say, that's a very common, situation. There are a lot of women that probably has that same storyline. I didn't want to lose the man. And so she went through with something that took, what was it, 2000? When did this happen? It was
2004 to 2020.
That is 16 years that she cried over this situation because she the man. And I also thought it was interesting that she talked about, her self-esteem at the time. So, of course, there has to be some type of, challenge self-esteem linked to doing an act like this that maybe you don't want to do, but you don't want.
God, I think we lost her.
Yeah, she froze up on us too.
Yeah.
So she went out too. So because the abortion arena is my baby, because I aborted 4 of my children, and so I know what Carlise went through, because with the women's right, women say I have a right to do with my body whatever I want to do. But the thing that they forget is that it's not your body. It's not your body that you doing what you want to do with. It's another human being's body. This child that you're carrying by 3 months already got his identity already, got his arms and legs, and it's another human being. So it's not your body that you're murdering. It's not your body that you're aborting, it's another person's body. So, Shanita, if you wanted to go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I think just that statement alone, like I never even looked at it like that until, you mentioned that this is this body belongs to someone else. And, which made the stats that you brought forth even more interesting. You gave the statistics about the amount of abortions that were committed in 2020. So there were like 42 million abortions in comparison to 8.2 million who died of cancer.
Yes, a lot of
42
babies.
million abortions. And we talked about it, like your book is about, the abortions that you had. We talked about all of this. But I'm looking at that number, 42 million. That, like some accountability would be a good thing. Maybe if you don't realize, if you don't think you're ready for a child, you don't want a child, there are so many things out there that can, put that on pause until you're ready. 42 million abortions, there's no accountability there. And like you said, people don't want you to say anything to them, this is my right. What's wrong with taking the precautions? What's wrong with that? People do what they do, and we're not here to throw any stones, like you said. That's your book. That's the heart of your book, truth. But we're talking 42 million people who were aborted in just 1 year.
1 year.
Yes. And 8.2 million people who many of them were on chemo and fighting to stay alive. But look at that. Look at the big difference in those numbers. And so I just wanted to say, a little bit of accountability here is necessary. If you know that you're not ready, 42 million is a big number.
A huge number.
A huge number. And so, I thought those are some pretty interesting stats there. So, I thought that stuck with me out of everything before you even got into the story, which, Carlise's story is phenomenal. I think she was very brave and courageous to come out and, hey, let's just tell the truth about what happened here. Yes. But, just the overall stats for just the year 2020 alone was like, wow, it was startling, to say the least.
Yeah,
Yes.
I definitely wanted to add to that. Yeah, it's just think of all the future doctors, lawyers, or scientists that we've killed. That was a whole generation within 1 year.
Yes.
I'm just like, wow, man.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. I mean, who know what they like you said, doctors, lawyers, scientists, who somebody may have the cure for cancer. You know what I'm saying? Who know, just like you said,
Exactly.
you've been running around, who know who had the cure? It could have been, part of the 42 million abortions. Sean, you're here. You want to comment on the abortion? I think she's still having problems. Bless her heart. Can you hear me, Sean? I don't think she can even hear me. So are there any more comments on the abortion?
Yeah, it just that's going to be a lifelong argument, unfortunately, and it's there's 2 points, or well, I guess each side has their valid points of why they're doing what they're doing, but it's I don't know if we'll ever really will come to a resolve for that. I mean, that's really it's really tragic. Like I say, 42 million in 1 year, as opposed to how this has been going on for decades.
For decades.
Right.
Women fighting for their rights. But it's not their right. The baby have the right,
Right,
And I
right.
learned that after I aborted 4.
Wow, wow,
Mhm.
wow. Oh, you got J and K Style Grill says hello.
Hey, Lady Thomas, Dr. Nita.
Hey, fella.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's just it's one of those things that I love that more people are sharing about it, because there are so many people who are suffering in silence, about this situation. And, many of them just can't find that place of forgiveness.
Mhm.
Some aren't seeking the forgiveness, and some are struggling to find that place of forgiveness. So I think it's great to, like I said, you and Carlise coming together, and, I shed some tears along with you guys, because you could feel the emotions behind it all. Um, but there's so much healing that needs to take place in that arena, of course.
Mhm.
But just like we talked about that number, we don't even know where we are, as a the world now in 2021. Like we don't know where we're going to end. How many are being aborted at this point for whatever reason? I know, there's a big thing about the health side, like, who do you save, yourself or the baby? There are those situations. I grew up with a neighbor who, the doctor said she didn't need to have any more children, and she ended up getting pregnant, and she passed away. The baby made it. So I know those are some really, those decisions are, it just, I don't even know what to say about a decision like that. But
Right,
there are always those one-offs. But I'm just talking about the people who are just, you're just out there, and you're just not even thinking about consequences.
Mhm.
I know the key thing you said is about accountability, and nobody wants to be held accountable. I won't say nobody, but majority of folks, if you try to tell them something, then they figure, that, you're in my business, or, and it's like, okay, hey, I'm grown, I make my own decisions. And so,
Right,
yeah, that accountability is the
True.
issue there, the main issue. And so that's why
right,
they will continue to go have unprotected sex or whatever, and then may end up getting pregnant and then abort the baby, because they don't want that responsibility, and that's a selfish behavior.
right, right.
Yeah, Joyce Meyer said something one time that I never forgot. She said that uh, when we abort our children, we think about the now and not think about the future. Because we're
Mhm.
thinking about what's happening in my life right now. I can't afford this. I can't do this. And not thinking about the future. Now, and I agree with that, because now that I'm older, I wish I would have had all 6 of my children. So now it's just me and my son. And, he could have had other brothers, because his baby brother, got killed. He had stepbrothers. He had 2 stepbrothers. But yet, biological, he could have had, what, 5 other siblings. Because I'm a mother of 6, gave birth to 2.
Wow.
So, and if something happened to me, he wouldn't have to be alone. But it was a decision that I made
Mhm.
that put him in the situation to where now he's only child, you
Mhm.
know? So
Mhm.
I was thinking about right now in my life, or right then in my life, and not thinking about what's going to happen when I turn 50, what's going to happen when I turn 60, what's going to happen as I get older. Because
Mhm.
all I'm thinking about, as Joyce Meyer said, the right now.
Right, right.
Mhm.
And that's definitely brave of you to come out and even say that, and to be transparent with
Mhm.
your experience. Okay,
Mhm.
so that is
Mhm.
commendable there. I
Mhm.
mean, and that's going to, I believe, help someone else out there.
Mhm.
Yes, yes. So if there's not anything else, we're going to move on to Dr. Serena's story. And her topic was, there were so many dynamic stories. Y'all know that so
Yes,
many dynamic stories.
so
Uh,
many.
Dr. Serena's story, I mean, she has so many points in her story. So it was hard to pull out some things and leave some things. So you have to kind of say, okay, let's talk about this and let's leave this, and
Mhm.
so she was 26 years old with 3 children. The man she was in love with was incarcerated, and this tall, dark, handsome, young, sexy thing, not even 19 years old yet, moved next door to her.
Mm.
Dr. Serena stated in the book, in her book, as well as on the show, something interesting. She said when she and Mr. X were intimate, she would feel eyes looking at her. And at one time, she saw 3 distinct faces. This is something um, that had not happened with the previous 30 men that she was intimate with.
Mm.
So, what y'all think about that? How let me say this. I asked her on the show as she felt God was telling her that something wasn't right with the young man next door. Um, uh, and when I asked her this, she said she felt like that something wasn't right. She said that God was showing her 3 different people.
Mm.
She stated that she was in lust. So let me really, I guess, more ask this question: how do you know the difference between lust and love? Because some people never come to knowing the difference until they get married, and then they use this "I fell out of love with this person." So what's y'all take on the difference between love and lust?
Let's hear from you, DJ Ronnie Ron.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Um, well, it's kind of like lust is something that's temporary, and love is more eternal. But again, they, in some sort of way, they kind of go hand in hand. It's like you kind of need it because to be attracted to someone, you lust after them, or for there's some qualities about them that you may like, or so, when it comes to physical attractiveness. But again, you have to go beyond that and see, okay, there's something deeper here that's keeping me, or so, because there's some times to where you may not like your spouse, or so. It's like, all right, well, I don't want to be around them now. But again, that's where the self-control and you go back to the foundation of, why did I marry this person, or so. But if it's solely based upon lust, or so, it's going to be temporary. And then those 3 faces that she saw, now, yeah, that was a little bit of a scary moment. I was like, oh wow, after 30 minutes she'd have been with, I'm like, whoa. But again, I commend her for being transparent about her
Yes.
experience, or so, because there's a lot of people out there that are too embarrassed to even say it. And so we have to have that transparency to help one another out there, so that future women don't make the same mistakes, or those who may be doing it can get some relief, like, well, you know what, I can come out of this. So man, she had a very touching story that's like, wow, man, this could definitely be a movie here for sure.
For sure.
but,
For sure.
but yeah, hopefully to answer your question, or so, like I say, I think lust is more temporary and love is more eternal. And just like how, again, God's love towards us, even when we have committed sins and still do, it still remains the same, that unconditional love.
Shanita?
The 3 different faces alone, there's something there that I think when it comes to love, you love that person for who they are. Like, you love the different things about that person. One person having 3 different things, 3 different personalities, it's hard to know where to put that love, right? I think true love is when you love that person. You love how they make you feel. You love who you are when you're with them. You love you just it's just, you know, not a perfect thing in the sense that some people look at perfection, but that person just compliments you and you
Right.
enjoy conversating with them and being in their presence. And, you know, I don't know, they motivate you to press in. And as you say, press into God's plan, press into those things that God has planned for you. Um, but when it's confusion, like you're seeing three different people in this one person, that's confusion, you know. And how can you even focus on love at that point? How can you focus on love when there's that type of confusion? And, you know, looking back at her story, like you said, there's so much that can be said about that woman. Like you said, it could be a movie, right?
Right.
But you know, just looking at who this guy became, and I don't want to, you know, jump before you, but
Oh,
this
that's
guy,
fine.
yeah, this guy, you know, she talked about the red flags, and if there were many of them, and the three faces was one of them, right? I mean, at that point, it's like, is this love or is this something I need to be concerned about? And so you can't even focus on the love part at that point. That's how I feel about it, you know. And this guy just turned up. I mean, maybe he put his I think she talked about putting that best foot forward. And so maybe, you know, there are people who does that. They put the best foot forward, and people fall in love during that time because that person is wonderful, very attentive, and all of those different things. And they love what they feel from that. They're loving potential, because then that real person comes out, and maybe that person is stuck in the relationship based on potential, not based on who that person really is.
That's good right there, based on potential. And then, you know, and when that never happens, then it's like, oh man, now I'm kind of stuck, or what have I gotten myself into?
Right,
Hmm.
right.
Hmm.
That happens so often.
Yeah, because she said that at this time, you know, she wasn't, you know, she was just having a good time. You know, he showed interest in her, just like you said, and she was just having a good time, and she didn't care nothing about that until she got saved, and then, you know, she understood what God was trying, you know, to show her. But at that particular time, um, that it wasn't, you know, a issue to her. She was just enjoying the moment. Her husband was in prison, you know, not her husband, but her boyfriend at that time, not knowing when he was going to get out, you know. So it had been a while. So this guy showing her, you know, befriending her, you know, showing interest in her. And so, you know, she just went with the flow, you know, at that moment, like so many of us, including me, myself, had done. But, you know, Juanita talked about the flags that she quoted something from Friday said Maya Angelou, that when someone show you who they really are, believe them the first time. See,
Right.
that she talked about too, that they may say or do something to get a response from you and say, I was just kidding, you know, or they may uh, be playing around and say, oh, I would, you know, maybe hit you or something like that, and say that I'm just playing around. She said, but they're actually showing you who they really are, that they got a temper problem, a womanizer, an aggressive problem, let me say aggression problem, that they have to be in control, that sometimes the man is jealous and want to isolate you and get you in a place to where you don't have anything to do with your family. He won't let you go to see your family. He won't let you go see your friends. You know, that thing of control and isolation. And she said, when you see these type things, you know, she said so much stuff. She said, but run. when you see this stuff happening. So what are some of the red flags that you all may want to give, that if you see these things happening in a relationship, run?
So some of the red flags that we want to give, or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. What would be some red flags that you would say to someone that if you see this happening in a relationship, run? Now, with Juanita, is sticking with still with Dr. Serena's story, and
Mhm.
she was talking about uh, the anger problem that may have a temper problem. She noticed
Mhm.
when she went to his house that his walls had holes in it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what would be some of the red flags um, that you all would say if you see this? You can do just one thing or two things. If you see this, run.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. The holes in the walls, and then the aggression in for anger expression. Even if it's just for no reason, it's like, okay, is there some medical issue going on there, bipolarism or so, or you're just flipping out. So yeah, that's one potential red flag that could excel into something worse.
Mhm.
Okay.
It, and and what's interesting about all of that is, what does a person do who, they're already in it? Like Dr. Serena, of course, she learned later on, but she was already in it. She had
Mhm.
already kind of gotten herself attached to this guy by the time he started, really, she started seeing this aggression come forward. She's already in it now.
Mhm.
So we see that a lot, and many people look at the person and like, why are they taking all of this? And many of them don't necessarily want to be in that, but maybe they can't get past the potential. um they can't get past, this is a good person. You hear about that kind of stuff, like you said, the holes in the walls, and the playing rough, all of those different things, maybe the control and all of these different things, you know, and if that person still rubs your feet or still make you a bubble bath, maybe you're not thinking about those things, right? And so
Mhm.
you hear about people involved in different things like that, and they're still thinking, well, they're a good person, but they just have this problem. They're a
Mhm.
good person, but, you know, and so that's a thing, like what happens from that point, because most people don't get a chance to see all of that clearly when they have the space to run.
Mhm.
Every now and then you catch a few people to say, oh, I had to get away from them, they're crazy. But
Mhm.
for the
Wow.
most part, most people got a story they can tell about how they just overlooked the indication, they overlooked the red flags. So
Mhm.
men and women,
Men and women.
men and
Men
women,
and women.
Yeah.
maybe a man was, looking at a woman who very flirtatious, and maybe she just wanted to hang out all the time. Well, just because you want to marry her doesn't mean that's going to change who she is. you know
Mhm.
Right.
she, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes people, we the deception is that you can change somebody else.
Well, no, and you're right. That is a deception. No one can change anybody. All right.
Right.
Again, the person has to change themselves. That's all. And you could try to help them see, the error in the ways of, hey, you could do better in this, but ultimately it boils down on the individual, if whether or not
Right.
that if they see that there is a need to change as well too.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So another thing with her, she and Mr. X gets married after 3 months of being together. Um, she finds out that she's 3 months pregnant. So everything was going good in the relationship for the first 3 months of the marriage until one night in 1995 that was set the scene for the next 13 years of her life. Um, he became enraged one night, 1995, during an argument the two of them was having, and I call this the second phase because he got so enraged over something that was so simple as if I'm not mistaken, her sons, her son, family member sent him a Christmas card or birthday card, and he became enraged with it. So what he did, he tore up the house, including the Christmas tree. He pushed her out of the door into the snow with no coat and no shoes on her feet, as she was 3 months pregnant. And I asked her, I said, when you was on the ground, I asked her during the show, when you was out on the ground, no shoes on your feet, you're 3 months pregnant, did you ask yourself, who is this person? Because the first face that she saw, me and her talked about this on the show. What's this loving man, kind man, couldn't get enough of her, this beautiful almond joy. And then the next phase, she on the ground in the snow, no shoes on her feet, 3 months pregnant with his child, and he had no care that she was pregnant. This anger flared up, so fast, and just took her by storm. Because what man will push his wife out in the snow with no shoes on, and pregnant, and that she's pregnant. So who would do that? So the beating went on for years, and in between the beatings, the children kept coming. He abused her while she was pregnant. He hit her. He threw her on the ground, and this is during the time that she was pregnant. So how would you all respond? And even if it was a man and a woman, because a woman can be abusive as well. So what would be the response, because she said, who is this person? Because this is a man that she hadn't seen before. She didn't know this was in him. She never saw this part of him. So now she's seeing this second phase, this Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde person that she never seen. So what's y'all comment on that?
Man, I feel really bad for her. I mean, how I would respond. I mean, it's other than leaving or so, it's yeah. I mean, I don't see no other way. Now, I have heard, quote unquote, biblically that even in a situation like this, the wife should stay with her husband, or leave but still come back. So because they was talking about God's view on divorce or what have you, but again, that's a touchy issue in this culture for sure. And it just, I really can't give a definite answer on that, other than the first instinct. And that was very traumatic. I mean, just even thinking about that. So
yeah, because she looks nothing, like what she been through. And that was the title of her story, that she don't look like what she been through.
It's a blessing that, the growth that happens in our lives, how our minds change about different things. Because I'm sure with her understanding now, that man had done that to her, she probably would have picked him up and slammed him, if she had to do it all over again. And, you're absolutely right about the controversy behind whether or not that's something God wants you to continue to work through.
Right.
That's a whole different show right there.
Yes, it is. Yes.
That needs its own show. Because, man.
Well, I got somebody that would definitely talk about it, but go ahead.
Because she stayed and she worked through it, and in the end, I'm getting ahead of myself, but in the end, they became the best of friends, because when she got saved, the Holy Spirit just took her into a whole nother, arena and build her up to where she can deal with certain things, that she will be able to tell the story and help others to deal with certain things, even though they did get a divorce in the end. But so I just thought, from her part, that was just so traumatic, that she being pregnant and him just throwing her out of the house. And I asked her this too: was it difficult mentally and physically to engage her body with his body with the abuse. Now I don't know if a man, if my husband is abusing me like that, just like she said, it was hard. It was hard to the point that she stated that she was being forced to have sex with Mr. X, because just think of it takes your mind and it takes your body to be able to be intimate with your husband. So if you're being beaten and that intimacy, just like she said, it's not there. The mentally, physically, verbally, it just ain't there. You're not feeling, what you would feel, if the beating wasn't there. So y'all comment.
I'll let Nita handle that one first.
Well, that's really interesting, because you hear, especially, back in the day, people talked more about it. But I think it was The Color Purple. The more he beat, the more the babies came. Maybe I'm quoting the wrong movie, but you hear about a lot of times that's when the babies come during these beatings. A lot of women have said that, and that's I don't even understand. You don't even understand. By then, that person have had to block off who they are. They've lost themselves in the situation. They're blocked off from their real feelings, real emotions. By then, that person don't even know who they are and what's going on in their lives anymore, for that kind of thing to go on. And you definitely wonder, like, what brought the person who's going through it to this place in their lives.
Because I asked her during the show, do she think that maybe he had this thing against women, or maybe was he abused, in childhood, that would make him have this thing against women, that he felt that it was okay to hit his wife, and not only with her, my mother is a prime example, because she was abused, as well, and I can't say that she was raped, but she was intimate with my dad, and I used to say to her, "I don't see how you do it." I couldn't figure out why she would do that. It's just one of those situations. But she made the statement too that she would think about Jesus, she would block it out, she would think a song would come in her mind, and so she would just tune herself out, to what was happening, because after he beat her, then he would rip her panties off.
So you
forcing himself on her in a harsh manner, that she didn't like it, she didn't want it. Therefore, she tuned herself out. Just like you said. So she just went through the motions, even though she didn't want to. Now, how many women out there right now just going through the motions, just going through the motions? We personally know some people needed that. Just I can't say they're going through the motion because they may really love their husband or whatever, right. But like she said, she tuned herself out and she was just going through the motions.
Wow.
But my question is, should a woman in a marriage be forced to have sex with her spouse as she say no? Like Dr. Serena said no. She said, no, I don't want to have sex with you. So he would rip her panties off and he would force himself on her. So should a woman in a marriage... So Kevin said, babies come out of forgiveness or the blaming of themselves that causes. So if I give in, it'll be okay. So if I give in, maybe he said, will it be okay? Anybody want to answer that?
Man, that's a tough one right there, because uh, I mean, the act has been committed, and I know, um, uh, I mean, that's weighing on the person's mind, or if they just, again, it might be one of those bipolar issues. It's like, they might have forgotten what they've done with the after effect of of the babies coming out, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's a tough one. Oh, wait, Mrs. Questions is, do you allow him to step out because you? Oh, okay. All right, all
Do
right,
you
yeah. I
allow
think that's
him to
more for
step
the
out?
ladies.
Because she said no. Well, no, they ain't gonna allow him to step out. That's your husband. That don't give him the right to step out because she not saying no to him because that's her husband. She said no to him because of the abuse that she's getting from him. Because who want to make have sex with a man that's abusing you? Who want to do that?
Mhm.
I had one girl in a conversation say something to me. She said, I told my friend, the guy that she was with at that time, I'd rather that he physically abuse me than verbally abuse me. So she did it because she said no because of the abuse. Whether the abuse was sexual, whether the abuse was verbal, that's why she said no. And one thing that me and Dr. Serena talked about, can a woman be raped in a marriage? I said yes, a woman can be raped in a marriage if she say no, just as me and Dr. Serena both said. If I say no to my husband, then it's no. You don't force yourself on me, just like I don't force myself on the man. If he say no, then it's no. So what would I look like forcing myself on him?
I
Y'all have an
agree.
opinion?
I agree. I mean, like you said, if you say no, if there's abuse involved, and you say no, and if it's force, that's what you call rape.
Yeah,
That's
I
what you
agree.
call rape. And I don't think that the law of marriage is going to cover that bad action. Just because, we're married doesn't mean that, abuse is okay. Um, let's see. There's a comment. I dated a girl that said, if you don't beat me, you don't love me.
Now that's crazy.
Well, there got to be something that happened at home.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something that happened at home. Um, we talked about how, a lot of this stuff, you just don't know what happened at home. You don't know an
That she was
extra.
extra sexual. Oh,
See, because
that's a
because that's
sex
like
addiction right there,
yeah,
or
because
sex
that's
addict.
like two different things. She's saying beat me sexually because you're involved in a sexual encounter. But this abuse is I'm just gonna beat you because I can beat you. You're pregnant, I'm gonna beat you.
Hmm.
Your son get a card from a family member, I'm gonna beat you. That's like two different scenarios. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
you know, there's like some people like that sexual stuff, like they like you to put me on handcuffs and tie me to the bed and get your whip out and whip me and beat me, and they found pleasure in that. I was like, pain. I'm gonna tell you, you ain't gonna tie me to no bed. You ain't gonna whip me with no whip. You ain't gonna do all this stuff to me because that ain't no pleasure. Where's pleasure in that? You
Where's
know,
the pleasure?
so you ain't gonna do that to me. But when you come to you abusing me because you feel
About
as
it.
though you can and this is what you want to do, and I say no to the sexual pleasure, then you're raping me. You force yourself on me, snatch my panties off, force yourself on me. That's rape.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely agree with you on that. Yes, and then he made a comment. Yeah, he found out later she used to get beat by men for no reason. So yeah, that's a mental illness right there.
Right,
I
That's
right.
agree. A mental illness, because I just want and let me bring this in quick, 'cause I know our time going by. Ephesians 5:28 says that a husband should love his wife as he loved himself. And I'm going to throw this out here. To any man that's beating his wife, that's evidence of you not loving yourself. Yeah, I said
Mm.
it. I said it.
Mm.
Because if you love yourself, you're going to beat yourself.
Wow.
Are you going to beat yourself?
No, no.
It's your own body.
Yeah. Because you can love your wife. Are you going to verbally abuse yourself?
Well, some folks have when it comes to depression. Yeah.
Like you were talking about the mental health side of things.
The mental, right.
The mental health side of things. You know, sometimes people don't understand mental health is just as important as physical health.
Agreed.
Sometimes you need to go get checked, you know, go get a checkup on your mental health to see where you are. Life gets interesting for everybody. You know, you want to make sure that you're on track, especially if you got history of mental illness or, you know, maybe in the family or whatever. And if you see yourself acting out of character, if you feel like you want to raise your hand and abuse somebody, get you some help.
Yes, definitely. Hey, I'm hearing some feedback, so I don't know who's that coming from or so.
Is it mine?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And you know, because you got to love yourself. You know, men got to love, you got to love yourself. So if you ain't loving yourself, and so you feel as though, okay, I'm gonna beat up my spouse, I'm gonna beat up my girlfriend, you know, that says something about you. You need to find what it is in you that makes you want to do that. Because it's something not clicking that makes you feel something wasn't clicking with my dad. My dad was a paranoid schizophrenic. I should have too, Kevin.
Hey, we can still bring him on. Hey.
You can bring him on. Yeah. We got 9 minutes left.
Well, we have to go through his Facebook account.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you know, so I do want to throw this out there too on the marital rape laws and by Monica, is it Steiner, contributing author, said all states now recognize rape within a marriage as a crime, and most charge the crime in the same way that rape between strangers would be charged. It says, however, at least 2 states still have slight differences in the law of rape between spouses. In South Carolina, those of you that live in South Carolina, you better listen to this. A prosecution for spousal battery, which is rape, may not proceed unless the offending spouse conduct was reported to law enforcement within 30 days of the event. So if you've been forced to have sex within the marriage in South Carolina, you have 30 days to report that abuse.
Wow.
You know, or it may not be prosecuted. So remember, you got 30 days to do that. In Virginia, Virginia provides for marital or personal counseling in lieu of court proceedings in some case of marital rape. So in the state of Virginia, you know, you report it, but, you know, they may see you through marriage counseling in lieu of, you know, going to court, you know, with this. Because sometimes that's all it takes is counseling.
Sure.
Okay.
And I want y'all to know too that there's a penalty for marital rape. Like any other rape, it comes with a fine that range between several $1,000s in some states to over $50,000 in others, and with prison terms that vary between several years and life in prison without parole.
Wow. Yeah, that's extreme right there for sure.
Because that's how serious, you know, that it is. And people feel as though, I could just rape my wife. And she say no. Now we talking about with abuse. Now some women may just say no because they just don't want to have sex. Right. We're talking about 2 different situations.
Right.
We're talking about sexual abuse in a marriage. Not just because you're going to say, oh, I don't want to have sex with him. I got a headache. I just don't. Because when women get to a certain age, y'all, they just don't want to be bothered with having sex anymore. That's just the bottom line of it. You do what you want to do. I just don't want to have it. So I come up with all these excuses. So
that'd be a good show right there.
You said that right, TJ. Right. So y'all can comment on that in the time that we have left.
Wow. Yeah, that's domestic violence is something very serious, and man, that is very extreme in several states, and counseling is pretty much the main key, as y'all were saying, and again, even when it comes to marriages, according to the Bible or so, like I say, I don't know if we'll ever get a straight answer unless it's from the Holy Spirit Himself, but it's like, whether to stay or leave in an abusive relationship, that's going to be an ongoing battle there.
Yeah, because the women of old stayed in their 40s too. Because the women of old stayed because they were told you cannot divorce your husband. So they stayed there in the abuse. They stayed there, going through the verbal abuse, the physical abuse, all the abuses, because they felt as though this was the right thing to do when they could have, gotten out of abuse. Just like you say, it's something, that we may not ever get a good answer to. But common sense tell you, I'm not going to say here let this man beat on me like this.
Right. Yes. And God gave us common sense for a reason.
God gave you common sense.
That's right. That's why the counseling is, probably can be very effective if people would just go talk to somebody. Go talk to somebody.
Go talk to somebody.
Because that's not normal.
Right. And I think, we bring religion in and we say, well, hey, Jesus is the best counselor here. So, and, we just pray about it and everything's going to be all right. But that's not necessarily always the case, though. And
that's not always the case.
We have to be realistic about that.
Right.
So we have to be realistic about it.
Brokenness is so real. People are broken. And when you bring two broken people together, it can be disastrous.
But the good thing about her story is, that this guy eventually gets saved, even though, he may have gone back into the world, but they became the best of friends. And before he died, because she had such a heart to forgive him for everything that, had encountered within that marriage. And so that's very important, is to have a heart of forgiveness when the Holy Spirit comes into your life. Have that heart of forgiveness, that
Amen.
we have
Yes.
to do in order to be forgiven. And so, the last call that he made before he died was to her.
Wow.
And when she, found out that he had passed away, she was the last person that he called.
Wow.
Because they had that relationship like that, in the end. So, I highly applaud her, for the woman of God that she is, the woman of God that she became, all that she encountered, the victory that, because this situation didn't overtake her, it didn't dominate her. So we got 2 minutes left. Anything anybody needs to say within these 2 minutes?
I just say, hey, great job. On all the shows, it's getting better and better, and I believe people's lives are being touched through your ministry. So definitely, God bless you on this.
Yes.
To God be the glory, because it can't be done without you guys. DJ Run, you put up all this stuff for me, and I could just call you and say, can you do this? And that we have built a relationship, through the months.
Right.
And very appreciative to you, very appreciative to Shanita for taking the time to listen to every story and then write it out, to go with the flyer. Very appreciative to Sean, for her contribution, that she gives to the show. So, because it wouldn't be possible without you guys, So I know that our time is just about up. And I just want to thank all the viewers that have watched the show, through the months of season 1. You have left your comments, and those who have contributed to the show to make it possible. So I just give kudos to you. Just thank you so much. And so may God just bless you, and God may keep you. And to every guest that came on the show, I love you so much because I have built a relationship to them. So be watching for season 2, starting with Cynthia Wilkins. So be watching season 2. So we got some dynamic stories that's coming up, dynamic people that, you know, just building a relationship with. So that's coming up. So y'all stay tuned. And we're going to be doing some more of this DJ Run and Ron and Nita. We're going to be bringing different guests in so that we can talk about it. But I want to thank y'all for being my guests tonight. And may the peace of God rest, rule, and abide in your hearts. I'm Mildred Towers. Thank you for watching.
What up, y'all? It's your boy back on stage. We here at J&K Style and Grill with my main man.
J&K Style Grill, home of the original waffle burger, stuffed wings, and Philly steak egg roll.
The food was amazing, man. I'm talking about collard green stuffed chicken, mac and cheese stuffed chicken, waffle burger with the special sauce. Come on, man. What are you doing if you ain't eating here? You're wasting your life.
Pull up.
J&K Style Grill, you can copy the style.
But never the best.
We got it.
We got it.